Fresh off a summer breakup between Aries and Raquel, the movie begins with Raquel, who is now with Gregory. It's the holidays, and Raquel, who is trying to get her book, Through My Window, published, goes to meet her publisher. The publisher informs Raquel that her book has been reviewed by critics, and so far, the feedback has been positive. Raquel is anxious, but Claudia believes it'll calm her a bit if she starts writing part 2 of the book. Though the idea is a bit startling at first for Raquel, she does consider it. Later, while writing at home, Raquel falls from her chair. Aries, who sees her from his window, is concerned about her well-being. She lets him know she's okay, and they chat briefly. Aries tells her he's back for Christmas, mostly because of his brother Apollo. Aries proceeds to apologize to Raquel for everything, but Raquel just wishes him a happy holiday and shuts her window before he even gets to respond. That night, Raquel and Gregory go out shopping for Christmas ornaments. While out, they cross paths with Vera and Aries. It's awkward between the two couples as they struggle to exchange pleasantries and engage in a conversation. A forced holiday cheer masks the tension between the former couple as they part ways to continue shopping. After the encounter, Raquel and Gregory have dinner with her mother, Ter, and her boyfriend, Roberto. Ter breaks the news to her daughter that she won't be around for dinner on Christmas Eve as she'd be spending it with Roberto and his family. She claims to have already told Raquel about it earlier. Raquel, feeling blindsided and seeing her mother as insensitive, argues that she's hearing this for the first time and feels abandoned during the holidays. Raquel lies awake, her mind swirling with thoughts about her earlier encounter with Aries and his girlfriend. She wonders why he pretended they didn't see each other through the window earlier. Unable to hold back, Raquel texts Aries, pouring out her exact feelings. He ignores her question, instead attempting to change the topic. An awkward tension fills the air as they lock eyes through their windows, as it seems to be the only place the two can still connect. Just then, Gregory arrives, startling Raquel. He tells her that he plans to host a little dinner party. Perfect timing since Raquel's mother would be away. However, Raquel isn't really into the idea, but he manages to convince her. Gregory and Raquel get intimate that night, and like worlds colliding with passion, Aries and Vera do too. But one can't shake the feeling that somehow, Raquel and Aries remain intertwined in each other's minds. Gregory hosts the party and invites Vera and Aries. Again, the awkwardness between Raquel and Aries is still very much visible. Gregory lets Raquel know that he understands the tension between them, and that it's normal as they both used to date, and though she didn't consent to inviting them, he did anyway because he wants his girlfriend to move on from Aries and for them to turn the page. He reassures her of his love for her and kisses her. As everyone savors their meals and conversations flow at the table, Anna seems uncomfortable, and Gregory directs her to the restroom. She's on her way there when she wanders into Raquel's open room. Among the photographs on the wall, she discovers discreetly placed pictures capturing moments shared between Raquel and Aries. The images raise new questions about Raquel's emotional readiness to embrace change, echoing Gregory's earlier advice to turn a new chapter in her life. Multiple waves of emotions ripple across the dinner table as Daniela learns that Apollo won't be making it because someone named Victor, whom she isn't familiar with, has a broken wrist. Daniela vents all this to Gregory while she helps him with the dishes. Just then, Anna comes back to the dinner table with an unsettled look on her face, hinting at what she has just discovered. Meanwhile, Aries casually extends his feet, inadvertently touching Raquel's legs under the dinner table. On the other side, we see an uncomfortable Artemis in her girlfriend Claudia's house, celebrating Christmas Eve. One of the kids there spills food on him, yet he somehow manages to cool off his anger. Back at Raquel's, everyone is done with dinner and have now gone to a club to dance. On the dance floor, away from everyone's prying eyes, Raquel and Aries have another intimate moment, brushing their fingers against each other. On the other side, Apollo is busy getting down and dirty with Victor. Back at the club, Daniela anxiously texts him. Later, everyone goes home. Raquel is drunk and Gregory helps her get on the bed. He finds Raquel's laptop open with a book she's writing in it. He grabs it and begins to go through it. He finds some writing about Aries and his facial expression drops. Meanwhile, Aries, on the other hand, in his apartment, overhears Vera on the phone with someone named Diego, who she claims to be missing. Turns out she is cheating on him. The following day, Gregory and Raquel hit the ice for a skating session. Tension lurks beneath the surface when Gregory begins to go too fast, and Raquel, who can't keep up with his pace, falls. Annoyed, Raquel moves away and swiftly takes off her gloves. Right there, she confronts Gregory about his strange behavior. An angry Gregory confesses to reading Raquel's novel the night before. Raquel feels violated, arguing it's fiction, not an invitation to invade her privacy. Gregory, enraged, shouts that Raquel left her laptop open intentionally. As accusations fly, Gregory boldly questions Raquel's lingering feelings for Aries, but he's met only with silence. Thunder rumbles ominously as Gregory storms off, leaving the woman to ponder the unanswered question. Later, Raquel pours out her feelings to Daniela, who sees Gregory as a decent guy and worries that Raquel might be jeopardizing their relationship. Raquel, however, is uncertain about her depth of love for Gregory. Daniela texts Apollo for a date, but the boy is busy in his passionate affair. As the night progresses, heavy rain pounds outside. Occupying Raquel's thoughts is none other than Aries as she wraps herself in a duvet, seeking refuge from the chilly wind. Unable to keep calm, she quickly gets up to open her windows and comes to lie down in bed. Meanwhile, Aries, concealed in a hoodie, braves the rain to reach Raquel's room. Both longing for each other's company, they waste no time in sharing a passionate kiss. The next morning, while Aries and Raquel lie next to each other, Raquel breaks to Aries that she's no longer with Gregory. Aries asks if she ever thought about him, and she quietly turns away. When she hears a thud and looks back, she finds him gone. Aries arrives home and is met by his drunk father, Juan, and brother Artemis. Artemis breaks to Aries that Vera's parents have accepted their proposal. They're the biggest clients the Hidalgos have ever had. He says that he had earlier been worried about the company's future and his family's future as well, especially as his girlfriend Claudia is pregnant. He further reveals that he has been overwhelmed with pending responsibilities. And just in time, Aries shows up with Vera and has brought solutions to their problems. They praise him for his taste in women and for showing up like a fairy godmother to solve their problems. However, poor Aries is not happy at all. Later, Raquel sits at her computer, trying to write. She can't shake Aries' parting question from her mind. Have you thought about me? Meanwhile, Aries, struggling with his laptop, realizes he doesn't have internet access. Determined, he attempts to decode Raquel's Wi-Fi password. When he finally deciphers it, the password reads, "I never stop thinking about you." He rushes to her room window, and when he attempts to climb, Raquel stretches forth her arm and pulls him up. Both of them, burning with desire for one another, begin to kiss right there on the windowsill. As time goes on, the two become increasingly obsessed with each other and can't stand to be apart for even a moment. They go skating and dancing and share kisses every chance they get. One day, Anna sees them skating together, confirming her suspicions. Meanwhile, Apollo ghosts Daniela, whom he was supposed to go see a movie with, to spend more time with Victor. On the other hand, Anna visits Gregory, who expects her to gloat about being right regarding Raquel and Aries. However, Anna instead points out that Aries and Raquel's relationship is hurting everyone around them. She offers emotional support to a sobbing Gregory and hugs him. The next day, Aries and his brother Artemis have a conversation. Artemis asks Aries to be the godfather of his unborn child, admitting that he hasn't discussed this with his wife yet. Meanwhile, Raquel has a troubling encounter with Anna at work. When Raquel asks about Gregory, Anna bluntly tells her that she doesn't deserve to be played by Aries. On her way out, Anna trashes the bunny she had purchased from Raquel's store, hinting that she only came there to emotionally abuse Raquel and nothing else. In the meantime, Artemis surprises Claudia with a luxurious apartment he bought for them. He reassures her that it isn't a financially wrong decision since the company is blooming and thriving at the moment, plus the fact that he's now the new president. However, Claudia questions whether he considered that she might not want to be surrounded by millionaires. She accuses him of not knowing what family is when he claims to be doing all this for his family. Later that day, Aries surprises Raquel with a gift, but she breaks down, her expression turning solemn. She confesses her discomfort with keeping their relationship hidden and being relegated to secrecy. Emotions swirl in the room as Raquel acknowledges the difficulty Aries faces, yet she finds herself laying down a stark ultimatum. It's either Vera or her, forcing Aries into finally making a decision. It's almost New Year's Eve. Back in Raquel's house, Tyr and her boyfriend are seated as they try to make New Year's resolutions, but this just irritates Raquel as she finds everything they say and do annoying. Tyr is concerned that her daughter has been acting strangely throughout the Christmas holidays and believes it to be because of Aries. She claims to have observed her new attitude the moment Aries came back and wants to know if her daughter would mind talking about her feelings. But hearing this, the woman gets even more angry and storms out. The Hidalgo and Herando families gather eagerly for a pivotal family dinner, celebrating the newfound alliance between their esteemed companies. Alpha 3 and Egamex, laughter and excitement fill the air. Yet amidst the joy, Aries wears a troubled expression. As they share a meal, Artemis receives an urgent call concerning his wife Claudia, who's hospitalized and in need of assistance. Despite his desperation to rush to her side, Artemis finds himself halted by his father Juan, who insists that their meeting with the Herandos holds paramount importance for their future. Juan urges his son to maintain his role as CEO, promising him the presidency of their conglomerate. In a moment of raw honesty, Artemis tells his father that he wishes for his daughter to have a better father than him before departing, leaving behind his father all by himself in a charged atmosphere. As Juan Hidalgo settles back at the dinner table, the atmosphere cracks with curiosity and concern. Everyone asks where Artemis went. With a forced calmness, Juan lies that he just went to solve an urgent matter with some Asian clients. Apollo and Ares exchange knowing looks. On the other hand, Artemis arrives at the hospital, his heart pounding with anxiety, only to be directed to the 4th floor where his wife is supposed to be. As he reaches the corridor, his worst fears seem to materialize before him as he spots Claudia being wheeled away on a hospital bed, surrounded by a flurry of medical staff. Frantically, he tries to approach her, but he's stopped and instructed to wait outside. Feeling utterly helpless, Artemis's panic threatens to overwhelm him until he spots Martha, a familiar face in the sea of strangers. Desperate, he turns to her, his voice trembling as he asks about Claudia's condition. Martha, though unable to offer concrete information, sees the anguish etched across Artemis's face and offers him the solace of her presence. Back at the dinner, Vera and Ares find a moment of privacy amidst the bustling party. Ares finally opens up about his knowledge of Diego, admitting that he's been aware of it for months, even witnessing them together during a visit to Stockholm. He also tells her that he knows that Vera is also aware of Raquel and his involvement. In response, Vera maintains her composure, asserting that she's unfazed by Ares's intimate connections, including his involvement with Raquel. However, Ares's next admission that his relationship with Raquel goes beyond casual encounters prompts Vera to remind him of their family situation and how the company and the contract binds them. Their choices are often dictated by these connections, rather than their personal desires alone. Frustrated by the constraints imposed by their families, Ares is exasperated. He says that they can't continue to live their lives under the weight of their family's expectations. Yet, a scared Vera tries to be optimistic. She assures Ares that they have the power to overcome these obstacles together. Unlike her, Ares would have none of it. He says that if she loves Diego as much as he loves Raquel, then he deserves to be more than a secret. Vera finally comes to the realization that maybe, just maybe, her family, could let her have her way this time and hopes it's all worth it. Amidst the countdown to the new year, the joyous revelry of the Hidalgos and Herandos contrasts sharply with Artemis's heavy heart. As laughter and cheers fill the air, Artemis's thoughts remain consumed by worry for Claudia. It's now 2024, and as fireworks illuminate the night sky, Daniela and Raquel revel in the joy of the new year together in one side of the town. Across the gathering, Tyr and her boyfriend also share a magical moment, immersed in the celebration of new beginnings. Meanwhile, Ares and Vera steel themselves to deliver long-awaited news to their families, standing side by side as they had planned. With heavy hearts, they prepare to disclose that their relationship isn't what it seems, that they're not compatible, nor are they in love with each other. But when the moment of truth arrives, Vera finds herself paralyzed by fear and uncertainty, unable to shatter the expectations of her parents. As she fumbles for words, her gaze meets the disappointed faces of her family, and the weight of their expectations crushes her resolve. With a heavy heart, she leaves Ares standing alone, pretending like everything is all right. Ares, stunned by Vera's unexpected retreat, is left reeling. This wasn't the outcome they had envisioned, and the realization that by Vera's fumbling, they would have to continue the facade of being a happy couple hits him with crushing force. A wave of despair threatens to engulf him, leaving him teetering on the brink of tears. However, Ares has made up his mind. He simply cannot put up with the charade anymore. He apologizes and walks away. Curiosity is all over the table as Vera's father inquires what's wrong with Ares, and she claims he just needs to get some air. On the other side, Daniela and Raquel immerse themselves in the vibrant energy at the publisher's party, their laughter and dance moves echoing the jubilant spirit of the New Year's celebration. Just then, Anna arrives too. With the arrival of Anna, their trio becomes complete, and Raquel expresses her gratitude for Anna's presence, acknowledging the significance of her acceptance and support unbeknownst to her vile intentions. Amidst the pulsating music and swirling lights, suddenly Raquel's phone beeps with a message from Ares. He declares his love and says that if she is willing to give him a chance, he would be waiting for her at the cemetery. Since Raquel has gone to the washroom, Anna sees the message first and wrestles with the temptation to invade Raquel's privacy. However, her efforts to guess Raquel's password prove futile, leaving her with no choice but to confront Raquel about the unexpected communication. As Raquel emerges from the bathroom, Anna's anxiousness makes her drop her own pills inside the glass of drink nearby. She intentionally reveals the contents of Aries' message. With a mixture of surprise and determination, Raquel hastily makes her decision, saying that Yoshi would probably chase the love of his life too. Without hesitation, she rushes to meet Aries, but not before gulping down the spiked drink. Anna watches her friend rush out, without so much as an ounce of guilt. On the other side, as the New Year's celebration continues to swirl around them, Daniela stumbles upon Apollo and Victor. She overhears Victor's revelation of his ongoing struggle to move on from his ex, who he has been stalking at the bar all night. Apollo, shattered by Victor's admission and seeing him abandon him and go to his ex, finds himself engulfed in a torrent of emotions. He quickly rushes off, yet the kind-hearted Daniela offers him the unwavering support and comfort he so desperately needs. Without hesitation, she wraps him in a warm embrace, and he begins to cry on her shoulders. On the other side, as Raquel's intoxication reaches its peak, her attempts to reach out to Aries are thwarted by the disorienting effects of the pills slipped into her drink by Anna. As her vision blurs and her coordination falters, she struggles to maintain her balance and falls back into a room. In her altered state, Raquel's efforts to communicate with Aries falter. She retreats into another room, her body betraying her as she collapses to the floor and finally goes unconscious. Meanwhile, Anna, a silent witness to Raquel's tragedy, chooses to turn a blind eye. She opts instead to walk away, leaving Raquel to fend for herself in her vulnerable state. She goes back to Gregory and hugs him while crying. On the other hand, Daniela also takes a crying Apollo back home. Back at the cemetery, Aries, who is still anxiously waiting for Raquel, begins to feel ignored due to her lack of response to his text. Just then, he receives an audio recording from Vera. The girl's urgent plea emphasizes the importance of fulfilling their parents' wishes, suggesting that there are significant consequences if they fail to do so. She says that Diego is not worth it, and so is Raquel, so he should just come back. Nevertheless, Aries makes sure to wait till dawn before going back. He now feels abandoned by Raquel and is left in despair. After coming back, Aries is preparing to leave for the airport. Before departing, he stops by Raquel's house to drop off a present. Instead of Raquel, he is greeted by her mother, Tyr. Aries learns from Tyr that Raquel never returned home after the publisher's party. However, Tyr is unconcerned, believing Raquel is simply having a great time and has decided to stay out longer. As Aries continues his journey to the airport, he receives a text from Artemis informing him that Claudia is safe. Despite this reassuring news, Aries is unable to focus on anything other than Raquel. Driven by worry, he calls her number. Raquel, who has been unconscious since the previous night, miraculously wakes up and answers the call, but is unable to speak. Realizing that something is seriously wrong, Aries' concern for Raquel intensifies. He instructs his driver to make a quick stop, desperate to locate her and ensure she is safe. On the other hand, a very intoxicated Raquel manages to stumble out of the room, leaving her phone behind. Meanwhile, Aries grows increasingly anxious as his calls to her go unanswered. When he arrives at the apartment complex, he spots Raquel struggling to navigate around the edge of a pool. He calls out to her, and as she turns to see him, she loses her balance and falls back into the water. Panic surges through Aries as he rushes to the pool, screaming for help, but receiving no response. Summoning all his strength, he dives into the pool and manages to pull Raquel out. She is unconscious, and Aries begins performing CPR on her. Initially, his efforts seem futile, adding to his desperation. But soon, thankfully, Raquel coughs and starts to breathe again. Aries is overwhelmed with relief as she regains consciousness. In a moment of joy and connection, they share a kiss. But the tender moment is abruptly interrupted as Aries' allergies flare up, causing him to pass out. Simultaneously, Raquel also loses consciousness, and they both lie beside each other, unconscious by the pool. Thankfully, the housemaid had already seen them and had called for help. Aries wakes up 5 days later in a hospital bed, groggy but alive. The nurse attending to him mentions that he is lucky to have survived, implying the severity of his previous condition. As soon as he gains some clarity, Aries' thoughts immediately shift to Raquel. Driven by concern, he rushes out of bed, desperate to find her. In the hallway, he encounters Claudia and urgently asks about Raquel's condition. Fear grips him, the terrifying possibility that Raquel might not have made it gnawing at his mind. Just as anxiety peaks, he hears a familiar voice behind him. Turning around, he sees Raquel standing there, alive and well. Overwhelmed with relief and joy, Aries rushes to Raquel, and they embrace tightly as if they had been separated for years. To lighten up the mood, Raquel jokes that since he saved her life, she would forgive him for waking up while she was in the washroom. As time moves on, significant milestones mark the lives of those around Aries and Raquel. Claudia gives birth, bringing new joy into their circle. Meanwhile, Raquel prepares for a momentous occasion of her own, the most awaited launch of her book. On the day of the launch, Raquel addresses an eager audience, revealing that writing has always been her love language, a way to express her deepest emotions and thoughts. When someone asks if there will be a sequel, Raquel candidly shares that while she began writing part 2, she has decided that instead of writing about love, she now wants to experience it fully. Her words resonate with the crowd, who respond with enthusiastic cheers, celebrating her growth and accomplishments. Amid the celebrations, Raquel meets Anna, who offers a heartfelt apology for past misunderstandings or conflicts. Later, Raquel and her friends visit Yoshi's accident site, paying tribute to his memory. She lays a copy of her book, dedicated to him there. 5 years later, Aries and Raquel remain inseparable, their bond having only grown stronger over time. Apollo, Artemis, and his daughter assist the couple in moving into their new apartment, a cozy haven that reflects their combined personalities and the love they have nurtured. Their days are filled with shared moments, laughter, and mutual support, embodying a love that has proven to be eternal. The movie ends with Aries professing his love for his Brugia once more, as he would from now on, again and again.